What's going on, guys? Super Insane 18 here, and today I am bringing you another branded deck profile. And while there hasn't been that much innovation since the last deck profile that I brought you guys, there is one card that came out that I haven't covered yet that I really want to make sure we talk about because I think that it's crazy in branded. So let's go ahead and show you guys the build. And what better way to start a branded video than to remind you guys about the Fusion Summer Fun Metal Double-Sided Field Center. For those of you that aren't aware, they are supposed to be Cartesia and Quem, so make sure you guys get that on my website, link in the description down below. It is a limited run of just 100, so pick yours up before they're gone. So jumping right into it, we are playing 3 copies of Fallen of Albaz. I think 3 is pretty standard now, whereas it used to just be 2, but now you kind of run out of them really quickly. I found that, there's a lot of times if I play less than 3, I really need the 3rd to seal up the game. Not to mention that technically speaking, Kashtira is still a viable option, and they are able to banish 3 off the top of your deck. Granted, it's no longer the banish 18 that they used to have with the Diablosis, but the possibility of them hitting an Albaz is still there, so you definitely need to max out on it. But with the addition of Quem, I think that 3 is more important than ever, so I don't think you can ever really go back down to 2. We are running 2 copies of Cartesia. This is just a really good grind card, not to mention you are able to abuse it with things like Quem, and of course we are playing the Fusion deployment as well. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to continuously go into this. I know that it recurs itself, but you also want to kind of like hard open it. It's weird. You definitely need 2 Cartesia. It's just a really strong card being able to fusion. So yeah. We have the 1 copy of Quem. Quem is absolutely disgusting, and although you only play it at 1, you are basically able to get into it for free with things like your branded opening. You can search it off of your Tragedy because it's always treated as a Despia card, and because we are playing the Nadir Servant as well, it's also treated as a Dogmatic card, so you have multiple ways to get in and out of your Quem, so we only really need to play the 1. And then the last monsters are the Tri-Brigade Mercurier and the Albion the Shrouded Dragon. Now, Mercurier is a card that I always want to play 2 of, but unfortunately I just don't have the room in the deck, so we did have to make a little bit of concessions and cut it to 1, and then Albion is Albion. It's just another consistency card, able to send your spells, traps to the grave, and then draw you 1, so yeah. We have our 3 copies of Aluber. This is the best normal summon in the deck, as well as just an ability to summon it off of the branded opening. Searches any of your branded spell traps, so go for your branded fusion, which is the heart and soul of the deck. Or if you already have your branded fusion, you can go for something like branded loss to protect your fusions. So yeah, we have our 1 tragedy and our 1 ad libitum. You don't really need any more than these. I remember back in the original days when the Albaz structure deck first dropped, you wanted to pretty much max out on the tragedy, but these days it really isn't that important. You're able to get into so much of your stuff without it that you don't really need it. We play our Bestial Lubellion and the Bestial Saronir. These are also just part of the combos as well. Saronir is able to just send your branded spell traps if it's sent to the graveyard, so that helps you do forms of like recursion if you send the Retribution, or if you already have the Retribution but you need to continue extending, you can do something like send a Branded in red and then add the Branded in red back to your hand with the Retribution. And then the Bestial Lubellion is just the best light target that you can get for your Branded Fusions, because you're able to summon it from your deck, or rather from your grave, by tributing the Albion, which will then get you the Albion in the end phase as well. And then we have our Dogmatica Maximus. This is for the Nadir Servant Combo. If you get ashed on your Branded Fusion, the existence of this in your deck still is a full puppet lock. So yeah, you guys have seen that combo. I don't really need to go into it. Make sure you check out that video. I'll link it in the description down below. And finishing off the monsters, we still have the puppet lock. I think that you have to play this card if you're playing Branded. Branded is already at such a disadvantage with how strong Ash Blossom is against it that you pretty much need all the help you can get. So if you're able to just tell your opponent that they're not allowed to play the game, then you're gonna do it. On to these spells, we have quite a few one-ofs. We have our Call by the Grave because it's just generically good for stopping things like Ash Blossom. We have our Branded Lost and our Branded in red. These are just the typical ratios. Sometimes I want to play more than 1 Branded in red, but again, it just comes down to there not being enough room. Can't wait to get the super in the OTS. The OTS actually drops today, but my locals doesn't have anything until tomorrow. We have our 1 copy of Foolish Burial and our 1 copy of Gold Sarcophagus. These are just extenders / starters because you're able to use either of these to hit the Despian Tragedy for another search, or in the case of Gold Sarc, you can hit the Mercurier, which can also get you a search. We are playing 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. I think that this card is very important in this deck because of how much of a blowout Ash Blossom is. If you get Ash Blossomed on your Branded Fusion, you better have the Nadir Servant, and if you don't, hopefully you have the talents to draw to and hopefully hit the Nadir Servant. So I think that this is really important, not to mention that this is just one of the best cards going second, especially in the format. Arise Heart is a mandatory activation, so you can always just take it and use it. Or, you know, you can rip cards out of your opponent's hand or whatever it may be, so talents, just definitely a very good card. The Heart and Soul of the deck, Branded Fusion. Can't wait for the ultis of these. Again, the OTS comes out today, but unfortunately my locals is tomorrow, so I'm going to try to pick these up. Hopefully we will see if I can get lucky and pull one. If not, I am definitely going to hope that the people around me pull them so I can get them off them. We have the 3 copies of Branded Opening. Again, there have been multiple points in this deck's lifespan where I've wanted to cut this to 2, but with the existence of Quem now, it is more important than ever, so we have to play 3. And now for the card that changes the way that this deck plays fundamentally, in my opinion, we have Duality. Now, Duality is a weird one because we are playing this over the Dark Magician, because Dark Magician is much more of a brick than Duality is. There are 2 monsters in this deck that you can use Duality to just go into your Dragoon for free, and while Dragoon wasn't made using a normal monster, so it won't have the pop, you do still have the Omni Negate, and that's what's really important, especially because in certain hands you are able to do it before activating your Branded Fusion, and that just is really good. So the 2 cards are the Maximus, and then in the extra deck we have the Dusk Dragon. Both of those are light level 8 spellcasters, which you can swap out for the dark level 8 spellcaster of Dragoon. We have 3 copies of Fusion Deployment. This is just really important for seeing Cartesia, but also if you're going second, this can just summon out an Albaz and then essentially just super poly your opponent's field away with the Albaz into some of your more powerhouse cards as well. We have our 3 copies of Nadir Servant. This is the backup plan for if you get Ash Blossomed. Again, it is a 1-card puppet lock in and of itself. And finishing off the main deck, we have the Branded Retribution. This is just mostly for recursion, but it doesn't have that bad of an on-field effect either. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to be sending it to the graveyard off of either the Saronir or the Albion the Shrouded Dragon, so let's show you guys the extra. For the extra deck, of course, we have our 1 copy of Granguignol, the Dusk Dragon. I'm never going to be able to pronounce that first word correctly. But yeah, this is an incredible card, being able to send your puppet lock, being able to send your Albion from the extra deck, and a lot of builds, not this one particularly, but a lot of builds are even playing that Synchro monster, Malong the Cloud Beast or whatever it is, and you can use that as an interruption on your opponent's turn, summoning this and sending them along as a form of bounce as well. There are so many different things in the game that this card can send, but more importantly for this particular build, it has the exact stats that we need in order to Duality it away for Dragoon, and the really cool part is if you Duality this, it still has the effect on field or in graveyard to be able to banish itself and summon out a Despian, so you are still able to do that even if you Duality it away, and I think that that just adds a little bit of added synergy into the card as well. Then we have our 1 copy of Despian Quiritus. I think that this is just a mandatory card, not just because it's able to make things 0, but because if your opponent outs it, then they are able to, or you are rather able to summon an Albaz. One of the really cool things that you can do with this is if you're staring down a Baron and you're able to get this on the board, you can attempt to make things 0. They have a choice of either letting you kill the Baron or negating it, at which case you will be able to use its effect because it's destroyed off the Baron negate to summon your Fallen of Albaz. Fallen of Albaz fusing with itself and Baron into your Mirror Jade, so you're pretty much able to just crack the board instantly, and I think that that is so much value. Onto the actual Albaz fusions, we of course have the Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. This is for our puppet lock. We have the Brigand the Glory Dragon. This is mostly for the Nadir Servant combo, but it's not bad to summon in certain scenarios either. We have the Lubellion the Searing Dragon. This is a card that used to be a lot more important than it is. You used to need to play 2, maybe 3 of these, but now you are only playing 1 because you are not usually going into it. More often than not, you're going to be making the Albion or something else, but it is still very important to have, so of course we have to play it. Then we have our 1 copy of Rindbrum. This is really cool because you're able to send it and then use its effect to resummon an Albaz, but more importantly, if you're facing down an Arise Heart, this 1 card cracks the board because you're able to Branded Fusion, dump the Mercurier to summon this, then that will force the Arise Heart to activate. This can then negate and bounce a card, so you are able to just kind of clear a board very easily. We have our 2 Albion, the Branded Dragons. Again, this is one of those cards that I really want to play more of at certain points, but I don't really think you need it, and the extra deck is very tight. We have our 2 copies of Mirror Jade. don't really need to explain, it's the boss monster of the deck. You're able to recur it relatively easily, so yeah. We have our 1 copy of Predaplant Dragos Depelia. This is kind of a flex spot. There are so many different things that this can be, but I think that it's worth it right here. Then, of course, we have our Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This is for the Duality. You don't have a way to summon it anymore without playing the Dark Magician other than the Duality, but Duality is such a strong and potent card, and we play it at 3, so the ability to go into this is very high. And, of course, the 1 Guardian Chimera. This is the best branded in red target for your opponent's turn, being able to just not only interrupt their board, but draw you more resources for your upcoming turn. Then we have our 1 Despian Lulu Lilith. Really cool card. You can summon it off of the Dust Dragon, but more importantly, you're probably sending it off of your Nadir combo line because it does let you get into the 1-card puppet lock. And the final card is going to be the Tri-Brigade Arms Bucephalus II. This is mandatory if you are playing the Nadir Servant in my mind, because what you do is you Nadir Servant send this, that adds you your Maximus, then this will activate to send you your Brigand the Glory Dragon, and that just kind of gets the ball rolling. You're able to then summon the Maximus by banishing this. You guys have seen the combo. Again, if you haven't, link to it will be in the description down below, and there you have the extra deck. Now, I know that a lot of you are going to want to see Duality in action and see the combos that you can do with it, but unfortunately, I'm not bringing you a combo tutorial for that right now, because I am bringing you a fully dedicated combo tutorial video on Friday. I know that you guys love the branded combo tutorials, so make sure you are ready for that. If you liked it, you know the deal. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, comment, share with your friends, maybe consider supporting me on Patreon. Don't forget about the channel-sponsored Dueling Guard using my code INSANE18 at checkout for 5% off your entire order. And once more, the Fusion Summer Fun double-sided metal field center is available for pre-order on my website. Link in the description down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.